was a 2-hour boat ride out to Eleanor Island from Valdez. Our captain's a guy who doesn't talk much, but he's seen a lot out here, including the Exxon Valdez oil spill.
When we get up there, we'll probably be about 20 miles from where the tanker ran aground on Bly Reef.
11 million gallons of oil gushed into Prince William Sound after the Exxon Valdez hit Bly Reef. Animals and beaches were covered in crude oil. Thousands of people rushed here to help in the cleanup.
This area of Prince William Sound was actually one of the worst areas hit by the oil from the Exxon Valdez.
It's hard to imagine this area covered in oil because today, on the surface level, it looks perfect. We passed sea lions and whales and just about every animal you could think of while we glided along Prince William Sound. And then we got to Eleanor Island.
This was really the first island that was in the path of the oil slick as it left the vessel.
And the Prince William Sound Regional Advisory Council started digging. And it's when you start digging a little bit deeper, about a foot under the beach, you find oil. It's sticky and smells and leaves a light sheen over the water. For people who haven't worked for the council long, this is a real-life look at the lasting effects of an oil spill.
So we have a whole new generation. I was in graduate school when the spill happened. We've got a lot of staff that weren't born when the spill happened. And if all you've ever seen is pristine Prince William Sound, you might sort of be lulled into the idea that, well, it's just a bunch of hype. You know, one side said it was horrible, the other side, hey, it was no big deal, we just cleaned it up and went away. And frankly, the truth lies in between.
In between the years of 1989 when the spill happened and today, a lot has changed. There are now more regulations for the oil industry, like having tugboats escort oil tankers. There's also the council itself, which was created as a kind of watchdog group. The oil companies pay for both.
We live with oil and we need oil, and we appreciate our oil industry and all it does for our state. We really have to be mindful that there's a lot of protection required to make sure we don't have another spill, because the consequences just don't go away.
People in the group were surprised they found oil, especially because everything looks perfect.
I think without a doubt, you know, oil's definitely a big part of Alaska economy and what we do, especially in Valdez, and there's no reason those things can't happen. We just need to make sure that the proper prevention pieces are in place and the proper response pieces are in place should there be another incident. You know, we're in a better place than we were in 1989. And yes, things are radically different than 1989. We've got a lot more response assets and trained folks, a lot more prevention pieces in place with the system and the tug escorts. But, you know, human error occurs, and we want to make sure that we're ready.
It's one thing to study in a classroom and another thing to come here and see and just imagine what the fishermen and the locals had to go through. Just digging it up, like I said, you could smell a fair bit of it. So to think of an entire beach just covered with it must have been really horrifying for them. So it's kind of brings you back. It's like looking into a little part of our dark history.
A dark history no one wants to witness again. So they'll be watching to make sure this is always the view and that what still remains out of sight, just under the surface after 2 decades, isn't out of mind. For the Morning Edition, Rebecca Palsha, Channel 2 News.